Hello, coin collectors out there. It's Dylan from the Big D Coins channel, making a guest appearance here on the DC Coin channel. And in today's video, we are going to look at these coins right here. They are the 1945 Mercury dime. You might not be familiar with these coins as they are no longer making this design right here. They've switched over to the Roosevelt dime. They are also no longer making this metal composition. This coin right here, we can see by the rim of the coin, is a 90% silver coin. So these coins do have some nice premium associated with them based on both their collectability and their metal composition. So they're silver coins, which are much more valuable than the current copper nickel clad coins that they are making today. In the video, we'll discuss the design of this coin right here. We'll talk about the different grading conditions associated with the Mercury dimes and what area on the coin you really got to look out for when determining their value. And we'll also talk about a few different era coins that are associated with the year 1945. First, let's talk about the design of the coin in case you're unfamiliar with it. Let me just zoom in. This is a more kind of darker graded coin, so we'll adjust the lighting. Here we go, much better lighting. Now on the obverse side of the coin, the front side, we look at an allegory of Liberty wearing a winged figurum cap. This represents freedom of thought. It's surrounded with the words liberty going around the outside right here. In God we trust, and then the letter W. This is the engraver's last name right here, represented by the W. So his name is Adolf Alexander Weinman. So we have a big W right here, representing his last initial in his last name. Now these coins were made from 1916 until 1945. So this is the last year of production for the Mercury dime. And the mintage on this coin are actually pretty high compared to the average for the series. So the average for the series of the Mercury dime was 34,760,000 of them that were produced. But this particular year, there were 159,130,000 of them that were made. I'll say that again, 159 million of these 1945 Philadelphia minted coins were made. Now, to identify the mint mark, you'll have to flip it over on the reverse side and look in this area right here. If you don't see a mint mark right there, that indicates that it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. If you flip it over and see something, let me just pull up the one that I have as an example, this one right here. So if you flip it over and see this S right here, that indicates that it was made at the San Francisco Mint, and there are 41 million that were made in 1945 at the San Francisco Mint. If you have a D right there, that indicates that it was made at the Denver Mint. And there are many documented double die errors that are associated with this coin, and as well as repunched mint marks. So, really check out if you've got a Denver or a San Francisco mint, what we'll talk about later in regard to the repunched mint mark for this coin. So we talked about with the design of the obverse side of the coin. Now, if you look for the reverse side of the coin, what we see on the back right here, we see a fasces in the middle, mixed with an olive branch that's kind of flowing from the left side to the right side. And then we see E pluribus unum, and then United States of America, and then one dime right here. What this back reverse image represents is that the United States is prepared for war with this fasces right here, but it's also desired peace. So we've got the olive branch for peace, and then the fasces right here to represent that we are prepared for war. Now, when determining the value of these coins, for the Mercury dimes in particular, what you want to look for is this back fasces right here, and you want to see the lines and the bands in the fasces and see how well they are intact. If they've worn out, then that will really decrease the value of the coin. The lines are going vertically, and then the bands go horizontally at the top, the middle, and the bottom. We can see that these bands right here are pretty well worn out, so that will decrease the value. I'd say maybe this is graded between, I would grade this probably between like an 8 and a 12 out of 70. So the definition of an 8 is half of the sticks are worn out in the fasces right here. So maybe we have kind of a little bit more than half of them are there. and a 12 is all stick. Excuse me. All sticks in the fasces are defined. Diagonal bands are worn nearly flat. So that's about right where I'd say I'd kind of grade this coin. All of these vertical lines we can see, but all of the horizontal bands are pretty well worn out. So at a grade of 12 out of 20, this coin for 1945 would have a value of $2.75 according to the red book that was minted. The red book for the 2022 edition of the red book. These ones right here would have a value of $2.75 for a 12 out of 70. Now, if you get a more highly graded coin, once you get up into the mint state condition, a mint state 60 will be worth $6, mint state 63 will be worth $12, and a mint state 65 will be worth $30. Now, I did mention that there are a few error coins associated with the year 1945. And so we've got a 1945 Philadelphia minted double die obverse, a 1945 Denver minted repunch mint mark, and another 1945 Denver minted repunch mint mark. The more interesting in the Denver minted repunch mint mark is the one in which the first D mint mark was punched into the die horizontally and then corrected vertically. So if you look at the, I'll just use this San Francisco minted one as an example to kind of show you where the mint mark is. So for the 1945 D, the first D mint mark was punched into the die horizontally. So looking like this right here, and then the second die was punched in vertically to correct it. That particular repunch mint mark error coin has a lot of value associated with it. At a mint state 60, that will be worth $450. At a mint state 63, $575. At a mint state 65, $850. So the value of those coins really do go up for the repunch mint mark errors. For 1945 S, there's also a repunch mint mark error in which the first S mint mark was punched into the die horizontally and then corrected. So there's another kind of similar error for the 1945 S. There's also two others that we'll kind of pass on talking about as you kind of get the idea to check out for the repunch mint mark. And of course, what's driving a lot of the value for that repunch mint mark is that was not supposed to happen. They're supposed to, all go in correctly. Just one punching of the mint mark, and it should have been punched vertically. If they punched it horizontally, then had to correct it by punching it over vertically, then obviously that's an error on the mint's part. And they did not make a lot of those errors. All right, so that's a lot of info about the 1945. I was just using that 1942 as an example. Let's bring back in the 1945s, and I've got some regular dimes to compare them to. So we've got the 1945s right here. As we talked about in 1946, they transitioned to this coin right here, which is the Roosevelt dime. Now these coins made from 1946 until 1964 still had silver in them. So if you flip it over to the rim of the coin, you'll see that there's no copper showing through. However, let me add in a more modern coin. This one right here is a more modern Roosevelt dime, and we can see that the copper is showing through. So for this copper coin, they started making them in 1965. These coins right here are made out of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. So the metal composition really decreases the value of the coin once you start in 1965 with these Roosevelt dimes. All right, everyone, that's all the info that I've got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video and got some good information about the 1945 Mercury dime. All right, everyone, best of luck coin collecting out there. Enjoy.